Tina decided to go her own way. We had our run. So if you decide to go this way, I'm gonna go that way. That's fine.
For almost 10 years, LeVar Ball was the loudest man in all of sports. This is a guy who told the entire planet stuff like this.
One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost. Never lost one-on-one.
That don't make any sense. Talking about you gonna beat Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan. How you gonna beat me?
You know what? It's good.
I gotta hear how you gonna beat me.
Your son is that much bigger than Steph Curry?
He bigger than Steph Curry. Steph Curry, what, 6'2"? Long arms? Can he jump? Can he run? Not like my boy.
Your son ain't on Steph Curry's level. You know too much about basketball.
Why he not on his level?
And he looked at Nike and asked them for $1 billion. $1 billion with a B. And he said every word of it at full volume, straight face with zero hesitation. But when LeVar Ball wanted to tell us the most painful news of his entire life, it wasn't with this same energy. Instead, it was over a bowl of noodles with an internet troll while he was eating lunch. And somewhere between the bites, almost like he was talking about the weather, the man who built an entire empire on being a big baller and never backing down quietly admitted that his wife of almost 30 years had walked away.
With my wife, Tina decided to go her own way. That's why you don't see her right here. She want to go do something else, that's fine with me. We had our run. So even though she had the stroke and getting older, she would never be like, oh man, she was always beautiful in my eyes until you say, I want to go do something else. Now you're not as beautiful to me again. If you decide to go this way, I'm gonna go that way, that's fine.
And then he said one thing about her that the internet has not stopped fighting about since, and I'm gonna get to that in a sec, because that one sentence is the whole reason why half the internet thinks that Tina Ball is a villain right now, and the other half thinks LeVar is a saint who got played. Here's the thing though, almost everybody arguing about this got it wrong, both sides of it, and to see why, you've got to understand who LeVar Ball actually is, because this story is a whole lot sadder than a divorce. So let's get to it. Now, before we get to the content, we are giving away copies of GTA 6, the more expensive edition, the Ultimate Edition, to subscribers that turn on our notifications on this channel. We're gonna announce a bunch of giveaway winners to all of my true diehards that followed me to my latest new channel. Just comment what console you want in the comment section down below. And now that we get all of that out of the way, let's get to today's video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Rewind to 2016. Nobody outside of Chino Hills, California knew the name LeVar Ball. The man was a former college football player who had a cup of coffee in the NFL, and he'd spent years coaching his 3 sons in the backyard like he was running a basketball factory. Then his oldest son, Lonzo Ball, turned into the best high school player in the country. He went to UCLA, and LeVar Ball saw his opening. And LeVar didn't just promote his kid, he went nuclear. He hit every show that would book him and made claims so wild that they couldn't be ignored. He said Lonzo was already better than Steph Curry, and bear in mind, this is 2016 when Steph Curry is at the peak of his prime. He said himself, in his prime, would have beaten Michael Jordan, not competed with, but beaten. He once called Lonzo Ball the best player on the planet while the kid was averaging 9 points a game on 31% shooting as a rookie. And every time a reporter laughed, LeVar Ball pressed down even harder. And the craziest part is, this worked. That was the genius of it. Every crazy quote was free advertising. He got so big that Kenan Thompson started playing him on Saturday Night Live. He was on ESPN more than some actual NBA players. He turned himself into a one-man circus, and the whole reason for the circus was a brand he'd cooked up in his garage, Big Baller Brand. And Big Baller Brand is exactly where this fairy tale starts to crack. To understand how big LeVar got, you have to sit in 2017 for a second, because 2017 might be the single most chaotic year any sports parent has ever lived through. It started with the announcement of a shoe. Right before the draft, Big Baller Brand dropped Lonzo's signature sneaker, the ZO2, and the price tag was $495. This is for a kid who never played in the NBA for one single minute. The bigger sizes ran up to $695, and there was an autographed pair in a glass case for $995. And when people said that was insane, LeVar didn't blink. He basically told poor people that the shoe wasn't built for them. If you can't afford the ZO2s, you're not a big baller. He said that Nike and Adidas were beneath him. And that takes us to one of the most uncomfortable moments of his entire run. LeVar went on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd, in order to brag about those shoe sales. And one of the co-hosts, a reporter named Christian Leahy, asked him a completely normal question. How many did he actually sell? LeVar wouldn't even look up at her. He put his hand up, turned away from her, former and said one of the most iconic lines of his entire run.
Yeah, I sold a good amount to me. Like I said, there's different amounts.
How many?
Stay in your lane.
Curious.
I don't even worry about her over there.
And stay in your lane is going to come all the way back around by the end of this video. And it got worse. He went to war with Lee Hee, calling her a hater. He said his brand didn't need to bother marketing to women. And when she kept pushing, he told her if she acted like that, that something's going to come to her.
Oh, I don't respect women, but I'm the one that's married. I'm good. Well, she can say what she wants. She's trying to put it. I never disrespect women. But I tell you what,
did on the show today.
if you act like that, guess what? Something's coming to you.
Oh.
And it's okay.
Do you think?
Are you threatening me?
Oh, see how she tried to turn the words? I would never threaten you.
You said something's coming to me.
I don't know what it is. I'm not a psychic.
She straight up asked if he was threatening her, and Lee Hee later said that she even got death threats over the whole thing. And Lavar's response was classic Lavar. He started selling Stay in Yo Lane t-shirts. He turned disrespecting a reporter into merch. And believe it or not, that's not even the wildest thing that Lavar did in 2017. Not even close. That fall, his middle son, LiAngelo, was a freshman at UCLA, and the team flew to China to play a game. And LiAngelo and two teammates got caught on camera shoplifting sunglasses out of Louis Vuitton. This was in China, where shoplifting is treated as a serious crime. These kids were potentially looking at real jail time. And then the president of the United States got personally involved. Donald Trump happened to be in China on a state visit, and he said he asked the president Xi Jinping to directly let the players go. They got released. They flew home. They held a press conference and thanked Trump on camera. But Lavar played a different game here. When ESPN asked him about Trump's help, he basically went, "Who?" And then he said it wasn't that big of a deal, and that if he was gonna thank anybody, he'd thank the president of China. That set Donald Trump off. The actual sitting president of the United States got on Twitter and said he should have left Lavar's son in jail. He called the family ungrateful, so picture that. A sitting president in a public feud with a sports dad over a pair of stolen sunglasses. That's 2017. That is how big Lavar Ball had gotten. He was beefing with the leader of the free world and somehow holding his own.
Did he help the boys get out? I don't know.
Why do you doubt
I don't know. If I was going to thank somebody, I would probably thank President Xi.
Lavar kind of let the clout get to his head, so much so that he locked in and yanked LiAngelo out of UCLA completely. The kid never played a single college game, and you could credit this move with being the move that may have destroyed any prospects LiAngelo had to play meaningful professional basketball. And then, just as fast as it all went up, it started falling. The shoes never really sold, and it turned out that the ZO2s literally fell apart. Lonzo admitted years later that the first shoes exploded on his feet during games, and his guy carried a backpack with 4 extra pairs in it because the shoes kept ripping and he had to swap them out every single quarter.
Them ZO2s I was playing in, they was not ready. They were?
Really?
Demo had a backpack, and he had extra like 4 pairs of shoes in there, because I had to switch them every quarter.
The face of the brand couldn't make it through one game in his own shoe, so during Summer League, Lonzo quietly started wearing Nikes instead. He wouldn't put on his own signature sneaker. And then came the part that actually hurt. In 2019, Lonzo found out that a Big Baller brand co-founder named Alan Foster, a man who'd been a family friend for almost 10 years, had allegedly moved more than $1.5 million out of his personal and business accounts. And the craziest part is Foster had a criminal record. He'd already done 5 years in federal prison for a stock scam. The family says they had no clue. Lonzo sued him. Foster turned around and countersued, accusing Lavar of treating the company like his own personal piggy bank. The FBI started sniffing around, and Big Baller brand basically died. Lonzo covered up his Big Baller brand tattoo, turned the Big Baller brand into a pair of dice. He pulled away from the brand, and honestly, from his dad. And then his body started falling apart. But to understand how it fell apart, you've got to go right back to the ZO2s, because this is where Lavar ruining Lonzo stops being a punchline and starts being a real question. You see, Lonzo grew up an Adidas kid. That's the shoe he wanted coming into the league, but he says he was told nobody else wanted to partner with him, so his dad told him to just rock the brand. So Lonzo laced up the ZO2s, those same shoes that were ripping apart on his feet. And in January of his rookie year, 2018, in those shoes, he tore the meniscus in his left knee for the first time. This was the start of everything. And here's the part that should stop you cold. It's not just fans connecting those dots. Lonzo connected them himself. He told ESPN flat out that he wonders if his dad's shoes cause his knee problems. His exact words are, "I think it's a possibility for sure, to be honest with you. I wasn't really getting hurt like that until I started wearing them." He called them kickball shoes, and it goes deeper because his own NBA team believed it too. The Lakers were so worried about Lonzo's body breaking down that team officials flat out asked whether the big baller shoes were the cause. His own franchise suspected the $495 sneakers his dad put on him were the very thing that were wrecking his knees. And his left knee never really got right after that. It eventually needed 3 surgeries and a cartilage transplant that his doctor literally called a Hail Mary, and it cost him 2 entire seasons. He didn't play an NBA game for nearly 3 years. He clawed all the way back, but this past year he was struggling so badly that the Cavs shipped him to Utah, and he was cut in the same day. So today, the kid who is supposed to be better than Steph Curry is a 28-year-old free agent that reportedly nobody will sign. The Warriors looked, the Nuggets looked, they saw the knee and they passed. So can you say the shoes ended Lonzo's career? You can't say this as a flat out fact because nobody can prove it medically. And the catastrophic injury, which was in 2021, came years later when Lonzo was in Nikes, which is the exact thing that Lavar hides behind. Because when all of this came out, Lavar didn't say sorry. He went on Vlad TV and fired right back, saying Lonzo tore his knee up in Nikes.
Lonzo tore his knee up in Nikes. He was good in my shoe.
Even questioning whether the shoes ripped at all.
There's no footage. Oh, they was ripping every quarter and this and that. Do you have any footage of him changing the shoe?
His one tell was he admitted the shoes were, in his own words, a 50-mile-an-hour shoe, while pinning the whole thing on Lonzo for playing too hard in it.
That shoe was made to go 50 miles an hour. Lonzo is playing 100 miles an hour in a 50-mile-per-hour shoe. Either the shoe gonna give or your body gonna give, and tore that boy's knees up.
So sit with what that actually is. His son comes out and says,
"Dad, your shoes might be the thing that ruined my NBA career."
And Lavar's first instinct was to defend the brand. That right there is this family's entire story in one single argument. The hype machine couldn't even stop to say sorry, and Lonzo, he's still out here carrying the name. Hold on to this because it matters for what comes next. Meanwhile, the other son scattered. LaMelo Ball didn't go to UCLA either. He had to hop from league to league before settling in the NBL, and then he would get drafted number 3 overall by the Charlotte Hornets. But even he had injury issues throughout his career. This past year, he finally had the healthiest season of his career, playing in 72 games, and Charlotte rewarded him by trading him all the way to Minnesota, which, if you don't know about, we have a whole video breaking down this trade on our main channel, The Flight Mike, which is where we cover basketball. I'll leave a link to that in the end screen if you guys want to check it out. Meanwhile, LiAngelo, the one who flamed out in China, reinvented himself as a rapper named Jello, and his song Tweaker reportedly landed him a deal worth up to $13 million. So that's the family, that's the empire, built on noise, cracked by reality, which finally brings us back to that bowl of noodles. This past week, Lavar went on a live stream with a young streamer named Neon. They're eating lunch, talking sneakers, mukbang style, and out of absolutely nowhere, Lavar drops it.
You know, who Tina decided to go her own way. That's why you don't see it right here. But she want to go do something else, that's fine with me. We had our run.
And before we go any further, you need to know who Tina Ball actually is, because while Lavar was on TV screaming, Tina was the quiet one. The two of them met in college, both basketball players, got married back in 1997. She spent 24 years as a teacher and then athletic director at a middle school. And in 2017, that same year, Tina suffered a major stroke. It left her with something called aphasia, which makes it physically hard for her to speak. She mostly vanished from public life after that. And to his credit, Lavar talked for years about helping her recover. And I don't want to undersell Lavar's devotion and commitment to Tina during this time. I mean, take a look at this.
She's gonna get better. I know it. Whether it takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, where am I going? We all in this together.
Even when she suffered a stroke and had a difficult time speaking, Lavar would say things like this.
She's the perfect woman for me though. And I ain't gonna never leave that girl. You're gonna always be with me, I'm gonna be with you. So don't feel bad about yourself. You move slow, but this right here, you fine. And she getting better. every day.
So here's the setup that everybody locked onto. Lavar stood by Tina through her stroke. Then Lavar himself got hit with his own brutal health crisis. In early 2025, a foot infection from diabetes spread through his blood, and doctors had to amputate part of his right leg. He's been getting around on a prosthetic ever since. He said it got that bad because he wasn't paying attention to his diabetes, and then his marriage ended. Okay, so here's the line, the one that I told you about at the very start, the one that the whole internet is in a war over. Talking about Tina, Lavar said that she was always beautiful to him, even after the stroke, even getting older. And then he said this.
She was always beautiful in my eyes until you say, I want to go do something else. Yeah. Now you're not as beautiful to me again.
So pay attention to that line because I'm going to come back to this. Because Lavar wasn't finished here. He told the streamer he had already found somebody new. He wouldn't say who, but he just hinted at somebody who works for him. And then he started handing out relationship advice, telling this young kid that a man shouldn't give a woman everything, that she's got to bring something to the table.
Don't give her too much though. Let her do something, bring something to the table.
And that is the exact moment that the internet grabbed this thing and sprinted. Within hours, the story split the internet clean in half. On one side was a massive wave of sympathy for Lavar, and it wasn't just from random accounts. Joe Budden talked about it on his podcast and said he found the entire thing sad.
I don't like this one.
That's sad.
I don't like it because he just lost his leg last year.
She had a stroke in 2017.
He stayed. I lose my leg last year, you out.
The fact that Tina would leave Lavar right as he lost his leg, especially after he'd stuck by her through the stroke. And honestly, on the surface, this take feels completely fair. It does look harsh when you line it up like that, but it's a pretty bulletproof story. Devoted husband, sick wife, he stays, then he gets sick and she's gone. But then you scroll down and you get to watch that same feeling rot in real time. Because right next to the sympathy, there's a whole army of accounts using Lavar's bring something to the table clip as proof. Proof that women, and I'm quoting the actual posts here, are fickle creatures. Proof that you should never take care of a woman. They took a 58-year-old man's painful divorce and turned it into manosphere ammunition. Some of it even got ugly and racial since Tina is white. And here's what nobody in either camp wants to admit. They are all doing the exact same thing. They're taking 90 seconds of one guy talking on a lunch stream and building an entire courtroom case out of it. One side made Tina the villain. The other side made Lavar a saint. And not a single one of them actually knows what happened inside that marriage. So let me give you the version that nobody's giving you, because the second you slow this entire thing down, it falls apart. Let's start with the timeline, because everybody's botching it. The popular story is she left the second he got sick, but that is not what we actually know. Lavar's amputation was early 2025. He only told us about the split this last week, in 2026, so these are not the same moment. People separate quietly and announce it later, and Lavar literally said he's already got somebody new, which doesn't exactly line up with a wound that's still fresh. We have no idea when they actually split or why. The she ran the moment he was down narrative, the internet invented that because it's a better story. Then there's Tina herself. And here's the single most important fact in this whole video. Tina Ball has not said one word about any of this. Not one. And remember, she has aphasia. The stroke made it physically hard for her to speak. So really think about what's happening here. Millions of people are calling a disabled woman a villain based entirely on the word of her ex-husband. The most self-promoting narrator in the history of sports, told on a mukbang stream. She is the one person in this entire story who literally cannot defend herself, and she's the one catching all the heat. And then go back to that line, you were beautiful until you wanted to leave. Now you're not beautiful to me anymore. Everybody's clipping that like it's some kind of wisdom, but actually listen to what Lavar's saying here. He's saying that his love had a condition. As long as you stay, you're beautiful. The second you want something for yourself, it's gone. That's not the language of a man who got betrayed. That's a lot closer to the language of a man who saw his wife as something he owned. And this is where it all connects. Do you remember stay in your lane? Remember Lavar telling a reporter to stay in her lane just for asking a question?
How many?
Stay in your lane.
Remember him telling the actual president to stay in his? For 10 straight years, Lavar Ball's whole thing was that nobody else got to have an opinion on his family. And now, the whole internet has decided it has the right to judge the most private, most painful thing that's ever happened to him. And to a woman who can't even speak for herself. Nobody's staying in their lane. Everybody's the expert on a marriage that none of us were ever in. And that's the sad part here. not the divorce. Divorces happen. The sad part is watching the loudest, proudest man in sports get humbled all the way down to a lunch stream, lose his leg, lose his wife, and watch his son grow past needing him, and then have his lowest moment turned into a meme war between people who don't care about him at all. They're not grieving with him, they're using him. Which brings me to my honest take on all this, and you can tell me if I'm dead wrong down in the comment section. LeVar Ball spent a decade teaching all of us to make noise, be loud, never admit weakness, always sell the dream, and that mindset built multiple NBA careers, a brand, a reality show, the whole thing. But it might have cost him all the quiet stuff, the stuff that actually matters when the cameras leave. You can't hype your way through a marriage, you can't out-talk a stroke or a diabetes diagnosis, and no amount of "I'm a big baller" fixes a house that's gone silent. I'm not here to say that I'm taking Tina's side, I'm just saying that I don't think it's fair to say Tina's a villain, and at the same time, I don't think it's fair to definitively say that LeVar is a saint. The sacrifice that LeVar made for Tina is remarkable, and it cannot be understated the amount of sacrifice it takes in order to watch your loved one and your wife go through a stroke and try to bring her back to a point where she could live life happily again. But what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of information out there that we don't know, which means it's not really fair to judge what's going on here. I think what happened is two people who'd been through a staggering amount, two separate health nightmares, decades of chaos, just hit the end of the road, and one of them wanted something different. That's not a scandal, but it is sad. And here's my prediction. Within a few weeks, LeVar does what LeVar always does. He gets back on a stream, back on a podcast, turns the volume all the way back up, and tries to spin every bit of this into the next chapter of the brand. Because loud is the only setting that the man's got. So the real question is that a strength? Or is that the saddest part of this whole thing? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.